Hello my friends, my name is Irvin, also known as Kuppelman. In today's video we're going to talk about a practical way of troubleshooting somebody's computer remotely without using remote desktop software. So there is not going to be any RDP action, there's not going to be any third-party software that we're going to use to resolve this issue at all. We're going to use things that are at our disposal that we can do to potentially fix the problem. So this will be really good for somebody who does help desk or desktop support or even tech support at, for example, a local office or a branch. And if you got 1 second, please click on the like button. I really appreciate it. I promise you this is going to be a great video, and I always appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you. All right, here we go, guys. I've created a couple of tickets that we can work on. And the first one right here, it says, my program is not working. Now, keep in mind, again, we don't have access to remote desktop. We don't have any tools like Dameware or VNC or anything remote that we can use or any third-party remote software that we can use in order to help this user with their issue. So their issue is here, my program is not working, and in the description it says here, every time I click on a program icon, nothing happens. Please help me. Thanks, Larry B. So here's the thing. First thing we got to do is actually ask Larry what his PC name is. Once he comes back with that information, we can start to work with that. So you may have to call him, talk to him and say, hey, Larry, what is your PC name, so that way we can try to help you out. But of course, be more professional. Like you would call him and say, hey, this is, for example, this is Irvin. I'm with end user support and I have your ticket about my program is not working. I can help you, but can you please tell me what your PC name is? So what we are going to do with that PC name is try to remotely access it. However, first thing first, we gotta assign this ticket to ourselves. So I'm going to assign it to myself. Although this is not a ticketing video, I want to make sure that that's happening. So I'm going to actually reply here and also tell him, hello, this is Irvin with EUS end user support. Can you please tell me what your PC name is? So of course I wanted to give you as detailed as possible how you'd work this, so this is why I kind of put this note in, which in reality it should send him an email or a notification of some sort so he can respond to you with that information, or again you can just talk to him, call him, get in contact with him to get this information, so that way you can take a look and see what's going on. Again, we don't have RDP, so there is no GUI that we can look at here, and we're just going to use PC name as that. So let's go to the PC, the user's PC, so we can find that out real quick. So here we are. This is the user's computer. So while they're on it, you can just instruct them how to get their PC name if they don't know how to. So we can say, Larry, can you please go to your search bar? And the reason I'm going about it in this way is because users are very familiar with the search bar because they always look at it. And you can just tell them, click inside the search bar and just type in system or PC or whatever you feel comfortable with, because there are multiple locations where you can find the PC name. So here's just the system that comes up, and then you can tell them, hey, where does it say system name? And here it is. It says Kuppelman 1. So once he gives you that information, we're going to go back to our computer. So now we know that the PC name is, I'm adding an internal note, PC name is Kuppelman 1. Now we're going to try to access it. Now, of course, while we talk to Larry here, we want to make sure that we know which program is not working. So we're going to access that, access his computer using just over the network, using a file explorer over the network. The way you do that is open a file explorer and just type in backspace, backslash, type in Kuppelman 1. And then another backslash, and then we're going to access his C share drive, which should be enabled by default for your business. It may not be, but it really should be in a business type of environment. It should let you in. You may get a pop-up asking you to log in, and that's fine too. Just use your credentials, and if you have access, that's great. So once we're inside of C, right now we're connected to his PC over there. You can see that it's on the network connection right here, and then the name of his computer is Kubbleman1, and we're inside of his C drive. We're looking at his C drive just using a file explorer. So he's using a program, right? He's using a program and we know it's not working, and then we're going to ask him, which program is it, right? And then of course, since we don't have remote desktop, we can't initiate the repair. Normally you can just repair the program, and a lot of times that would fix it, uninstall it, reinstall it and whatnot. But if you don't have that option, or user doesn't have the admin privileges to do it either, and again you don't have remote desktop of any type of software, we're going to try to fix that by going to his local profile, because in this case, if we go back here, it says nothing happens when he runs the program. So what do you suspect? I suspect some kind of configuration issue, or just corrupted data or a cache inside of his local profile where the configuration resides. So we're going to go inside of users folder, and we're going to look for his local profile. We're going to ask him, what is your local profile name? And then he's going to tell you what his local profile name, which is going to be the same thing as his login. So we're going to pretend that his login is BUCO. We're going to go inside of that, and typically configuration data for any type of program that's run under your local profile is going to be in app data folder. So we're going to click on app data, and then a lot of times it's either going to be in local or roaming. So let's go into local folder and see what happens. So let's say he has problems with Adobe. We can simply just to kind of clear the cache, we can simply rename this folder into Adobe Old, for example, and as long as his program is not open, it's going to let us rename it like that. And this is okay because once he launches Adobe, it's going to create a new version of the same folder. And just to kind of show you what's inside, we're going to go inside of this, and you can see that if you kind of browse through, you can see that it's either empty, and a lot of times, I picked this randomly, but there will be some configuration data like config files and this and that. But since it's at the local profile level, it's not necessarily something that's part of the program as in program that it needs to function. It's something that's created for the local profile as the part of the configuration for that profile. And the same thing happens with anything else. For example, there's Google here. If you go inside a Google here folder, and if you go, you can see that it's a Chrome, and if you go inside of that, you can see there's user data. Again, this is what I talked about. And if you, for example, go to default, you can see that there is a cache data inside of it. And of course, you can find things like, I don't know, their favorites and stuff like that, which is, by the way, missing on this one, but that's okay. So let's stay on track here. Since we messed with Adobe, I'm going to tell him, go ahead and try to open Adobe again. So let's go back to the user's computer. All right, so we're back at the user's computer. We don't need this window anymore. Actually, I'm just going to, let's close it. We're going to close it, and then we're going to, so at this point, I'm telling him, okay, go ahead and open Adobe. So he's going to type in Adobe, and then we're going to click Adobe Reader. We can see that Adobe Reader works fine. And let's kind of go back to our computer so we can see again what's going on from our point of view. We are now back at our point of view as a technician, and we can see that the new folder was created for Adobe, like I stated. So that created new, and you can see that here that the date is 6/10/2020 at 1 p.m. and if you look at the time here, it's 1:01 p.m. So that means it created just like I said it would. And what that does, it basically resets that program, and a lot of times it actually resolves the issue. All right, now just in case you actually had to go in and change registry settings, that's something you can also do without having to have a remote desktop, as long as you have the proper credentials to do so. So on your computer, on your own computer that you're using, your work computer, you're going to open up a registry editor, and you have to run it as administrator. So remember how computer name for this gentleman was Kubbleman1 here, and let's pretend that we have to go into registry and add some kind of a function, some kind of key to make it work. We can do that remotely as well. So we're going to take Cobbleman1, which is the name of his computer, and we're going to connect to it over the network registry. So we're going to connect to his registry on his computer over the network. We're going to click network. We're going to put in Cobbleman1. We're going to check name to see if we can actually find it on the network. And it usually takes a little bit. It depends, on the setup. But you can see that it found it, and it's located on this work group. But a lot of times it would just be a domain name where it says new server 0. That's actually the name of my work group for my local computers at home. But it will be kind of the same deal when it comes to domain. It will be the domain name first, followed by the computer name. So that means it found it. When it's underlined like that, it means it found it. We can click OK. And we are now directly connected into his registry. So let's go ahead and kind of navigate, see if we can find that Adobe. We're going to expand HKey local machine. It's a local machine on his computer. We are now connected to it. We're going to expand HKey local machine. And guess next thing we're going to do? We're going to use some logic here, guys, and we're going to just go to software. We're going to expand software because we know Adobe is software. Now, there are a couple of different places that it might be, depending on whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit software, but you can see right away that Adobe shows up here. So if you expand that, you can see that this is actually for Premiere Pro and After Effects. So that's not what we're actually worked on. We actually worked on Adobe DC, or Adobe Reader DC. So if we scroll down and expand WoW 6432 node, which indicates that it's a 32-bit software, we can now look for Adobe here and expand that, and we can now see that there is Adobe Reader there, right there. And then if we expand that, there's DC, and inside of that we can, whatever we need to make changes to, we can now go inside of its remote registry settings and make any changes that we want. Once we make these changes, we can immediately ask the user to try to see if the issue was resolved. Okay, now let's look at another example here, and another example of a ticket. Of course, finish up noting your ticket. I'm going to add internal note here first. I'm going to say issue resolved by configuration. And then depending on the environment that you work in, you may have to specify what you exactly did, in which case we did I don't know, reset config folder data. We're going to save it, and then we're going to mark it resolved, completed, and that's that. That ticket, that ticket should be now gone out of our system, and we're going to now concentrate on this second ticket. All right, let's click on this ticket. This ticket is called I am missing internet shortcuts folder. And then if you look in the descriptions, we can see that it says internet folder is missing from my desktop. So in this case, there is a folder, or there was a folder on their desktop that, it was deleted or just simply gone. Who knows? Maybe it was moved somewhere. That happens sometimes too. User would just accidentally, for example, they would if you look at over here, they would drag it somewhere and it would go God knows where, So typically you would say, hey, can you check your recycle bin? Go inside of your recycle bin and check if it's in there, this and that. And yeah, definitely do all of that stuff. But if it's not there and it's just one of those things that you may have a copy of, let's say you can't find it, but you can find a copy of, you can ask them, hey, does anybody else have a copy of it? Maybe I can copy it over, because it's just internet shortcuts. We can certainly do that. Again, we're going to have to get some information from them before we can proceed further. But we're going to role play, and then first thing, of course, we're going to do assign a ticket to ourselves, and then we're going to reply to customer, hello, this is Irvin with US, or you can say tech support, doesn't matter. Let's do tech support. With tech support, or you can say help desk, whatever your situation might be. Can you please provide your PC name so that I can restore your folder? Thank you. Thanks you. Thanks, Irvin. Okay. So now user has been asked, or you can call them, you can talk to them. Again, we're going to go back to the user, and we're going to get that PC name, and in this case, we're going to pretend that the same PC name is Cobbleman, so we're going to keep doing that. The PC, let's do this. Users PC name is Cobbleman1. All right. So kind of same thing, and I'll show you something else just in case this doesn't work. We can go back into his desktop, and then we can just copy paste whatever it is that they need. So let's pretend that actually let's go ahead and just create a quick folder called Internet Shortcuts, and now we're just going to copy pasta onto his desktop. Okay, now let's go to his computer. Now we're at his computer, and we can say, hey, can you please check to see if the Internet Shortcuts is back? And sure enough, there it is. But what if for some reason just using a PC name doesn't work? There might be an issue with DNS. So just typing in Cobbleman1 and go inside of that shared drive or shared network connection, I should say. What if that doesn't work? Then we're going to have to get an IP address and see how that goes. So you can ask them too, hey, what is your IP address? And if they're like, I don't know, you can just ask them, okay, well, can you go command line this and that? But that's too complicated. So let's go back and ask them to give us the IP address without any confusion. But let's see what else we can do. Before we do that, let's see what else we can do without actually confusing things and confusing the user, because we don't want to do that. We just want to find it out on our own. All right, let's go back to our own computer. All right, so let's say this wasn't successful and this didn't work, and for some reason we can't access it using Cobbleman1 like so. Let's say that doesn't work. Let's say we're not able, we get an error, or it just doesn't, it just says not found. Then we're going to find their IP address and see if that works. So of course, the first thing we can do is open our command line and do a quick ping. We're going to do a quick pingage. You're going to type in ping Cobbleman1. And here's our result. And guess what it is? It's an IP version 6. It's an IP version 6. If we do this, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to happen because this systems are not set up to, what I call backdooring into a computer. Some people may disagree, but this is what I call backdooring into a computer. You can just type in, usually instead of just the PC name, you just type in the IP address, the same deal. Let's see if we can get that C share. Yeah, it's not going to work. So now we need to actually find what the IP version, or translated, or I guess translated in a way, but what we're actually looking for is an equivalent IP version 4 of this IP version 6 IP address. So this is IP version 6 that we're looking at here, but we want to know what the standard is, what the standard IP version 4 is. So let's go back to the user's computer. You can say, hello, sir, can you please tell me what your IP address is? And you can just tell them, can you please go to the search bar and then type in, I don't know. There are a couple of ways of getting to it. I'm just going to tell them to type in network. And then first thing that comes up is network status. And I'm just going to tell them, why don't you go ahead and click on change connection properties. And then if we scroll down, it gives you a bunch of different information. Here's our IP version 6. Remember, this is our IP version 6 that we tried earlier. And it didn't work, but luckily we do have equivalent IP version 4, which is right here, and that is 192.168.1.102. All right, let's go back to our computer. All right, now let's try that. So we're going to //192, and you can see that I accessed it before. So 192.168.1.102, and then $. Enter, and there it is. Same thing. that we can do with whatchamacallit. Same thing we can do with the registry. We can connect using the IP address. But let's go ahead and take care of this user real quick. We're going to go and copy the internet shortcuts folder back into their desktop. And now that we are back at user's computer, now we can see that internet shortcut has appeared. Now let's go ahead and do the registry edit thing. Reg edit. And then we're going to use that connect network registry. Let me just minimize this stuff real quick here so it's out of the way. 192.168.1.102. Okay. And again, it takes just a little bit to kind of figure out what's going on. And now it's actually asking me for login ID. So I'm going to use, typically you can use your domain login, but since I'm not on a domain, I'm just going to use a local admin ID and password. And there it is. We're back at the same thing, except now we're accessing it using an IP address. So there you have it, guys. There are many different ways to deal with this. These are just the typical ones that I go for when it comes to resolving issues like this real quick whenever I'm working tickets. Whenever, I work as a business system analyst, but I do work on tickets, especially nowadays, now that we're working from home. So they need more assistance. So this is what I do mostly nowadays, simply because different times, different times, guys. So now I'm just going to finish my ticket here, made a copy of internet folder to desktop. Whatever you want to put in there, as long as it's detailed enough so that if somebody looks at it, like your boss knows what you did. And I'm going to resolve this and mark it complete. All right. That's that, guys. I hope you like this video. Please share it with friends. Let me know if you have any questions. Just want to say hi. I like making these videos. And again, I appreciate you guys liking the videos. They are that what you do really motivates me so much. All right, you guys stay safe, take care, and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.